Hello, and welcome to our next video in our series of AI agents for D365 Finance and Supply Chain. My name is Adam Younts, Senior Solution Architect here at Quisitive, and I'm happy to share our series around the OCR AI agents. When I look at AI agents, I look at them not just as what type of work they do, but what kind of levels of transformation are we looking at. In today's videos, we'll be talking about agents as they relate to a level 2 or level 3 agents, mostly level 2, where every team has an AI agent, in this case multiple agents, that complete work autonomously on behalf of the users. For the OCR, this will be around capturing AP invoices and adjusting them into the ERP system, as well as performing three-way matches when necessary. Now, Microsoft has several first-party agents that are included, as well as some Quisitive agents that we have added to the system. Within the sales and customer service, this is your Microsoft Dynamics CE first-party agents that Microsoft has released. Under supply chain, there's the customer supplier communication agent, the supplier communication agent, of which we covered in a prior video series, and then several other agents that Quisitive has created that we're not going to cover in today's video, and then some from HR, finance, but today we're going to cover the non-PO related invoices and PO related invoices with a three-way match. Now, what are some of the KPIs and improvements that you can get by utilizing these? Well, we can improve your team's productivity, we can lower your operating costs, and we can reduce the risk of errors from rekeying. Some of the challenges that the accounts payable team has is they spend a lot of time reviewing emails or rekeying invoices, whether they come in on paper, they come in on an email, and they have to spend time reviewing their outbox and duplicating this entry, getting these invoices in the system, which can lead to keying errors by people transposing numbers or selecting wrong vendor accounts if they get frustrated or they fall behind, which then leads into payment delay risks and then supply chain disruptions. But by utilizing an AI agent, the AI agent can monitor your different inboxes for inbound emails for things for these invoices to go ahead and ingest. The AI agent can also OCR these invoices and create the transactions in the system for you without having to map it like a traditional third-party system or the Microsoft out-of-the-box OCR. In those systems, you have to tell the system where to get the invoice number, where to get the purchase order number, where the line's located. By utilizing an AI agent, you don't need to pre-map the invoices. You just need to educate it when it gets it incorrect. And by utilizing this, your team can then spend their time doing more value-added work, such as solving issues with the three-way match or performing the necessary check run processes or working on anything that's an improper or working on exceptions rather than just performing transactions, things that go through. Now, if we want to look at a vision of the future of what you could do, we could have a complete end-to-end process from invoice to payment with minimal human interaction. By utilizing Microsoft Copilot Studio, and in our example, we're going to use the email functionality, we're going to have an agent monitor that inbox and capture that invoice via OCR. Once it captures that invoice, it's going to pass it to another AI agent that's going to create that invoice in D365 Finance. And if applicable, an additional agent can do an audit on that based on your rules and commission calculations or whatever you need to do. But in our example, we're going to go straight to the processing where once that invoice has been created, the next agent's going to fire that off and process that and post that invoice. If necessary, it'll perform a three-way match. And if the match doesn't happen, it'll then ask for a person to jump in and do invoice adjustments. Once that invoice match has been passed, the next agent will pop off and fire that off to the workflow where then people will approve that invoice to be paid, and then potentially another agent can then schedule that for a payment run, and then a third agent can actually process that payment journal and just disperse the funds. What we're going to focus on today is the whole OCR invoice capture, creation process, and three-way matching for our today's sessions. Now we have two use cases that we've created for today. The first use case is a non-PO related invoice where Debbie, who's the accounts payable clerk, is going to receive an invoice from the vendor. Now Debbie receives a lot of these invoices and she's very busy where we're doing a shared services. And she would like the system to monitor the email box, the inbox for these emails, process those invoices, and post them if nothing is out of whack without any manual intervention. And that'll be the second video we cover today. In the third video, we'll cover the more complicated use case where it's just like the first use case, but in this case, we're utilizing a purchase order, and that invoice not only has to be monitored from the inbox and created and posted in the system, but it needs to go through a three-way match process also. In this example, we're going to show you processing an invoice coming in from a vendor that is not associated with a purchase order. The first thing we're going to do is navigate to the vendor to look at what invoices have already been posted against their account. As you can see, as we scroll down, we have several invoices that have been posted to the account, but in the bottom, there's a unique invoice number format, 0001. This is the same format we're going to use in our example, but we're going to use invoice number 2. As we go to our pending invoice file, we can see there's no pending invoices with the same invoice format. Now let's go ahead and simulate having the invoice being sent to us from a vendor. As you can see, I created an email to our monitored email box and I have an attached invoice. This invoice number format is 2, dated 2/23/26 for a total of $700. This will be the invoice that the OCR is going to read and post into our system for us automatically. Now that we've sent that email, the MCP server is on a batch job that runs every 5 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and pause this recording every now and then and refresh and wait for the system to catch up. As you can see, there are already 9 pending invoice journals already out in the system. And let's go ahead and open this up and look at it. And as you can see, we have several invoice batches. But when we hit refresh, a new one has just been populated. This is from the agent creating the invoice batch for us. If we open this batch up, we can see that it's for the Whirlpool vendor, invoice number 2, dated 2/23/26 for a total of $700. Now you have the option to post this on your own, but we're not going to do that because I have one agent passing off one step of the activity to another agent where the system will post it on its own based on the rules that we've already created. So now if we go back, you can see I have 10 journals that have been out in the system. And if we go back to our agent activity, which is a new workspace in our immersive workspace, it gives us an audit trail of that agent. Here it says, oh, I've noticed that we received an email from Adam Younce for invoice number 2, and I've created a new batch 3304 that contains invoice number 2 in it. So there's my audit trail of what the agents are doing. And here I actually have another agent that actually sends a confirmation back to the person that sent the email confirming that the invoice has been successfully processed. Well, wait a minute. Earlier we didn't see it successfully processed. So let's go back to the activity and let's view what's going on. In here, I still have the 10 journals, but I do not have my 3304. But if I go to my posted, I will now notice as I scroll down that batch number 3304 has been posted with invoice number 2. So the reason why there was a delay is because I had multiple agents, one agent doing a very specific process, and then a delay, and then it passes it off to the next agent to do the work. From here, you can manually do additional functionalities. You could have paused this for workflow approval, but in our example, we just went ahead and said, yes, this is an expense invoice. Let's go to automatically post it. And now to prove it out, let's finish up by going back to the vendor, clicking on them and looking at their invoices. And then as we scroll all the way down, we will notice that we now have a new invoice posted against that vendor. If you're happy about what you see here and are looking at what are the next steps you can utilize for the AI invoice, for AI, not just the invoicing, we have several QR codes here that talk about some of the different out of the box solutions we have. Thank you very much